All right, same idea as what we just looked at. They've given us these statements of P is Holly will study, Q is a statement is her sister will study, and R is the statement they will do well. So here we're going to have a PQR to deal with. So let's fill this in. Holly will study, sister will study is Q, then they will do well, which is R. Now this was Holly and her sister, so our symbols for this will be P and Q, then R. This next one says Holly will not study, so that's the negation of P, or her sister will not study, not Q. Therefore, our conclusion is they will not do well, which is a negation of R. So, typed up a little more neatly, P and Q implies R. That's the same thing I had written over there. To put this all together is our big statement. All of this had to be in the front, and this in the second, and the not R. I didn't need those brackets at that point. That would have been if that was all I had. So I shouldn't have typed those in. So this is P and Q, and then R, and not P or not Q. Big old brackets around all of that, and then not R. All right, let's fill in our single letters. P is T, 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 F, 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 Q, R, not P is negation of this, which is false, 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 followed by 4 truths. Not Q is a negation of this column, which is false, false. And not R is a negation of this column, which will be false, true. And you might try to be as color coordinated as possible. Notice I just filled in all my basics in blue. And let's go to red to do some of these connectives. P and Q for this connective. The only time and is true is if both are true. So both of those are true. And no other place I have TT, so the rest of these are Fs. Then this is my answer column for the P and Q. It needs to go together with this column using the conditional. So we'll go to this green, and the conditional is false only if the premise is true and the consequent is false. So this is false. Do I have any other time for that? No. So the rest of these are true. So the green is my answer for this first set of parentheses. Maybe I'll put green around that so that green goes with the green parentheses. Now go here. I need to put this together under the connective or. The only time or is false is if both are false. So false, false, and that's it. The rest of these are true. So this is my answer for the second set of parentheses. It is green. And there's my green. Now I'm going to put together those two green columns using the connective and. And is true only if both simple statements are true. So true, 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 true. The rest of these are false. That is my answer for this whole big bracket. So that needs to go with this under the conditional. And the only time the conditional is false is if the premise is true and the conclusion is false. So this is false. And I really can stop there. As soon as I get a false in this column, that means it will not be a tautology. And that means the argument is invalid. And the argument in symbolic form was all this stuff that we had typed in already. This one, if you notice, does not have any P's or Q's identified. So we need to make our own list. If all students study, so we're going to need student studying, we've got some of that test average, and then we have teacher being grumpy. So here's what I have done for those. I've got P is all students study, Q is the test average will be high, and this is the teacher is grumpy. Now you might have said, hey, wait a minute, this said not, so maybe it ought to be the teacher's not grumpy as R, and you really could do that. But what we agreed on a while ago, several sections ago, was that we want to make our P's, Q's, and R in the positive. Not the teacher's not grumpy, we want the teacher is grumpy. Okay, so now we want to put these together with this information. So we have, if all students study, that's P, the test average will be high, that's Q. And that's an if-then, so we're looking at if P, then Q. If the test average is high, the teacher will not be grumpy. Test average is high is Q. The teacher will not be grumpy. That has to be not R. The teacher is grumpy. That is R. And our conclusion is some students did not study. Now the reason we need to go to some students is we are negating all. Remember, to negate all, you need to come up with either at least one student didn't study, or some students didn't study. And that's why it's phrased this way, so this is not P. And which one has all that? It looks like this one right here. So written up a little more neatly, it's right here. And we're going to have to do a big old truth table on this also. So start filling in. To save a little time, I went through with the video off and just filled in our basic ones. Now let's start working these. The conditional, the only time the conditional is false is if the premise is true and the consequent is false. So both of these are false. The rest of these are true. I need to do this parenthesis also. So conditional, the only time the conditional is false is if the premise is true and the consequent is false. And that only happens there. Oh, and here. The rest of these are true. Together the two red columns, and is true only if the two individuals are true. So true and true is true. And we have that here, here, and here. The rest of these are false. So now I got to take this result for all of this part and put that together with this column using and again. So and is true only if both parts are true, and that only happens here. The rest of these are false. And now we're going to take this right here with this column doing the conditional. The conditional is false only if the premise is true and the consequent is false. I don't have that. Here's my only T. It is followed by T. So this is true, and all these other ones are true. And if they are all true, that means it is a tautology and it is valid. Okay, we're going to try to draw a valid conclusion from these given premises and from the words back to symbols. So the student was deciding to take statistics or calculus. The student didn't take statistics. I think it would be helpful for us if we had our regular P and Q written out. So let's take this and break it down into the two parts. The student was deciding to take statistics. The student was deciding to take calculus. Translate this idea using the P and the Q. This is just saying the student was going to take calculus or statistics, P or Q. The student did not take statistics. That's not P. So can we make a conclusion here? And we should be able to. We've talked about this a couple times. This is or, which falls into the disjunctive reasoning idea. If you have a statement that says P or Q, If they tell you P's not true, that means Q must be true. That is our conclusion, and Q was the student was taking calculus or took calculus. And that's it.